before we do any podcast, whatever is the topic, I tend to go look up the etymology of the relevant words, because I just find that helps me get an idea of what is it that we're talking about here. And the definition of leadership, or the etymology, leader being one and ship being the other. For leading or leader, the root of those, or the etymology of that word, is effectively somebody who is at the front of something, but not at the top. But it wasn't so much somebody who's at the top of a hierarchy, but is in the front of a group of people. And they're leading, right? They're guiding groups of people through a terrain, effectively, was the origination point of that word.
Yeah.
And there was almost like a relationship to the word scout or scouting, which is you've already run ahead, seen what's coming, run back and gone, okay, I know the best way to navigate through this territory. And so a lead or a leader was more like a guide or a scout. Now, we think of leadership in terms of leading projects, leading movements, leading organizations or institutions, sometimes leading thought, right? Being an influencer, leading trends. And what we usually are looking for in those situations are people who have already navigated this terrain. They know what they're talking about because they've been here before. It's hard to get coaching advice about parenting from people who aren't parents. It's hard to get coaching advice from, people about relationships where they've never, they haven't had a 10-year-long relationship.
Yeah.
You're looking for people who've already been here, and they go, okay, so I've mapped this area and this is what it looks like. So it's not really about somebody who's on top. It's about somebody who's at the front. And then the word ship, the pi root of that word is very similar to the word shape. And that effectively means to cut or mold yourself into this thing that you're doing. Because the word ship actually just means like the will to do, or doing this activity. But I thought it was interesting that it was associated with something that is about, sort of changing yourself.
Yeah. And
a related concept is the word friendship. Like, you tend to alter who you are just by merit of the fact that you're in a dynamic, you're in a relationship with this person, right? A friendship. The position itself starts to mold and change you because you're now, being influenced by that person or that position itself. So leadership is really about understanding the importance of traversing something on your own and then coming and that changing you, right? Or rather, having traversed it, feeling a responsibility to help other people go through that same situation, coming back, leading and guiding them through it, and then being changed by the experience of the responsibility.
Yeah.
So I think when somebody desires leadership, I think what they are saying, whether they know it or not, is I'd like to be in a position where I'm helping other people get through something that is difficult for them, that's hard, that maybe nobody else is qualified for, or other people are qualified, but they're just not stepping up. And I'm willing to put myself in a position that's going to change me, which is why earlier when you said that there are sacrifices, and those sacrifices, oftentimes, if you're doing it right, outweigh the privileges that come along with leadership.
Yeah.
Part of the sacrifice is yourself. You don't get to be 100% autonomous. You don't get to not be changed by this responsibility. It's a very similar dynamic to parenting. Parenting is going to change you by merit of the fact that you are now responsible for the situation. You can't not be changed as a parent. It just is going to. And I think leadership is a very similar dynamic.
Yes. And so I think, by the way, I completely agree with everything you just said. I also would say that there are privileges and benefits to stepping into leadership. Often they are related to the role itself, though, like the benefit or the satisfaction of leading a group of people through an endeavor toward a goal. Like there's a certain type of person that's wired to enjoy being able to move people, even if they don't get personal credit for it, being able to see an entire objective accomplished, or a person, like a big people group moving towards something. There's a satisfaction that comes from that. often for a certain type of person. I think I'm wired that way. I really enjoy, like, if you come to one of our live events, yeah, I'm on stage, I'm leading and all of that, but I really enjoy watching, 60 to 100 people go through an experience over 3 to 5 days, greater than the sum of its parts. And it's such a privilege. That's the greatest privilege. That's the greatest benefit, is seeing all of that come to fruition and other people getting lit up and turned on to themselves and their life and what they can do. All the excitement that comes from that, that's the payoff, as far as I'm concerned, for, I believe, somebody that's in a true position of leadership.